Los Angeles has unanimously, the city council in Los Angeles has unanimously passed a very, very strict ordinance against excessive dog barking. Now this is a very big dog town. Everybody's got a dog. Everybody anthropomorphizes their dogs. They dress their dogs up. In other words, this city is filled with crazy people and their dogs.
And very uncomfortable dogs.
I mean,
they don't like to be dressed up.
I have 3 dogs, and so I know what it's like too to have a dog that barks in your yard, and you kind of feel bad for your neighbors, or to get a complaint from a neighbor. Well, now
your costume budget must be outrageous with 3 dogs.
And my dogs are still hungover on Halloween. The way this goes is dog owners would face fines now when there is excessive barking, when there's a complaint. The first fine would be $250, then it would be $500 for a second, and then $1,000 for a third. And this would all be done with a hearing conducted by the Department of Animal Services to determine if the dog barks too much. Now, it kind of seems excessive and it kind of seems crazy, but in this city, there are dogs barking 24/7. And there is a way to take care of a dog, and there is a way to not take care of a dog. And one way to not take care of a dog is to leave a dog all alone in a yard, tied up, ignored all day and all night. When they do that, they have this really weird reaction. They bark.
Well, let me tell
a lot. So here it's what I would consider a good way at getting down on dog owners about their dogs, and not taking dogs and blaming the dog for it. Does that sound too Caesar Milanish?
Oh, well, I don't know who that is, or if maybe that's a food
He's
item.
the dog whisperer, Richard. Come on, get with it.
Okay, but no, here's the deal. First of all, I think this ordinance is awesome. I think it's fantastic, and I'll tell you why. One, yes, I do think in most cases when dogs are barking excessively, they're being neglected by their owners. But 2 is it's great for me and everybody around me except the people who own dogs. I'm a dog lover. I can't own one now because I travel too much. My wife and I both travel too much. But there are a couple neighbors in our area and on our street whose dogs bark constantly, and mostly on weekends or weeknights, but they'll start around 10:30, 11 at night and go and go and go because they're probably out. And it's not just in the backyard, it's in the house, but it's so loud.
Do the dogs bark for 10 minutes or more?
Yeah.
Or is it intermittent for 30 minutes or more within a 3-hour period?
Yes,
then
to
this
both.
would be excessive.
I think that's awesome. And what happens is you try to talk to them and, there's nothing we can do about it. We're out. Well, you know what? Take your dog. From now on, take your dog or pay the fine. Or maybe you're not fit to be a dog owner and the dog needs a new home. But neighbors, I'm coming for you. Get your checkbook out.
I'm gonna share a little story here for you, and the police may wind up at the door at the Young Turks to take me away at the end of it. But just within the past couple,
I'm going to use my bully button app and attract them right now.
I was sleeping, and there's these 2 dogs that barked behind my house incessantly, night after night after night. And one night I decided I wasn't going to take it anymore, so I barely got dressed. I know, starting to get sexual and weird. I got in my car. I drove up the street behind my house to where these 2 dogs were. I got out of the car. I walked up to the house, and there were these 2, I'm not going to say the breed because that might implicate me, but there were these 2 dogs standing there barking at me. And I picked up a rock. And look, now everyone's turning around and looking at the crazy person.
Yeah, okay.
And I threw the rock, not at the dogs, I threw the rock over this fence, and it landed with a thud right in their beautiful, pristine patio area. And it scared the dogs so badly that the 2 dogs ran through a sliding glass door that was open. They ran into like a master bedroom. And then I realized no one was home.
Right.
And my crazy expression of anger it didn't really hurt anyone. It scared the dogs, but I realized at that moment that the owners had not come home. And these two dogs were standing there with clearly some attachment disorder or missing their owners or were hungry. So I called Animal Services and they sent a letter. They sent a letter to those folks and they were required to go to a hearing. And if you don't go to the hearing, they do take the dogs.